Well, the idea is simple. We're planning to reopen 20 miles of railway, which was axed in the 60s, from here in Buxton to Matlock, which, as I say, is 20 miles away.
5 years ago, the Buxton site was a bit of a mess. It looked more like a rubbish tip. But now we've got a shop, thriving shop, engine shed, running track. Even though it's only 200 yards long, it's a start, and we're running trains every weekend.
It's an enormous task, and it's not just running and playing trains. It's the organisation behind what we're doing. We've got to find the people to do the jobs, and we have to find the money and raise the money to do it.
Ian, can you tell us a bit about fundraising?
Yes, certainly. It's certainly been a good month up in Buxton. Tony Simpson organised a very successful car boot sale yet again. And following the disco we organised last month, we've decided again to organise another one. In fact, it's due to go off tomorrow evening.
Quite frankly, I'm not all that keen on discos myself, or car boot sales come to that. It's a lot of effort, a lot of time is spent on doing it. But we need the money. It costs about £40 just to steam one of the small engines for a day. And because we need so much money, we've just got to do the fundraising.
They don't really see us too much first-hand, I don't suppose, really. They see us being a bit in the pub, you know, talking about steam engines and how come the clacks were blowing back and all this sort of thing. It's sort of like a sub-language, really. It's almost unknown to the normal man in the street. He wouldn't understand what on earth we're talking about. I'd always been interested in steam from as long as I can remember. I used to drag my dad round to look at watch trains they were going by, Flying Scotsman after the end of steam, and also at the end of steam. We were going around the steam shed, the few that were left at that time. But I served my apprenticeship in inverted commas on the Worth Valley Railway. The Worth Valley is now a complete railway. That's not to say there isn't a challenge anymore. There is, keeping it going and developing it. But here there's a challenge because we're starting virtually from scratch. I mean, this was a desolate site, covered in mounds of spoil. The shed was derelict, there was no track at all, nothing. And what we're doing is basically starting from a greenfield site with just one building and developing it into a railway. So as you say, at the ground floor, yes, we can plan the ground we've got here. We can say, right, we're going to put a turntable here and a signal box here and a station building here. And we can see it all gently develop over the years. It is going to be a long job, but the challenge, nevertheless, is very great. Given that we have very limited capital resources to do it all from, it certainly tests our resourcefulness. I guess a well-steaming hole. There's Peter, Steve, Ron, myself, Dave, yeah. They all worked in different industries in the time. lost the jobs for, you know, well, the way the economy's gone. Again, it's quite a depressed area around here, really, now. Difficult to get work sometimes. If they were in full-time employment, they'd be here, you know, at weekends, spending their spare time down here. But being out of work, obviously, it gives us all something extra to do. Rather than just kicking around, you know, street corners or at home or whatever, at least this gives us some motivation, gives us a sense of achievement. It's remarkable how much work we can get through in a week, actually. It's virtually a full-time staff. You know, there's 4 or 5 of us working sometimes a 40 or 50-hour week. Get through a tremendous amount of work. And all for the love of it, really, yes. Yeah, that's right. We've got both the ends now, haven't we?
Yes.
Oh, we did polish those brass handles up in the back?
I did.
Very nice, those, yeah. Yeah. I'll teach you our single memory dusters for using that.
Yeah, definitely.
Ron, can you have a look at this fire old door linkage on Harry? Yeah. Rather than everyone stooping down to open those doors, if we can get a little bit of a linkage, a crank across. OK. Other people are interested in, well, the business side, if you like, of it, the challenge that the fundraising side offers, i.e. raising such a large amount of money, because that's what this project does need. It does need quite a large capital investment. In relative to the terms of large industry, it's not a great deal, but in terms of, you know, running our little brakeman ride, our carriage rides up and down the side here and the shop, jumble sales, this sort of thing, relative to the sort of income we have, the amount needed is massive. And that in itself poses a challenge which, you know, some of our members rise to. And as you say, they're not particularly railway enthusiasts in the sense that the lads here are.
Just taking the Buxton shop first of all, the takings this year to date are up by 50% on last year, I'm very pleased to tell you. I think it's for several reasons really. I think one is that we've got an increased range of stock in the shop now. We're also getting a lot more people on the site now that we're running steam again, as we did last year, but I think the publicity that we're doing is paying off. Good. And we're getting a lot more people through. In spite of the increase in takings, I'm still reducing the stock, really by making sure that we're more selective on what we buy and buying in smaller quantities. Unless there's some extra discount, it seems a little bit pointless.
The old track bed along here is really our secret weapon, if you like, because going through terrific scenery like this, it's just sitting here waiting for somebody to do something imaginative with it.
I want to see the railway reopened. I want to see people riding on it. There are, of course, the die-hard enthusiasts who will tell you the only way to see Derbyshire is on your 2 feet. But our railway will help people to do that as well, because they'll be able to go to one station, do a lovely walk and come back from another station. And they'll be able to leave their cars behind.
Yes, this one is a short one.
So it's a walk through this.
Surprising how narrow the valley is now getting. Yes. The river's just down at the bottom. There's barely room for the railway on the side here now.
Marvellous condition, this one, isn't it?
Yes, it's very dry, isn't it?
Yes, beat some good quality blue brick.
Everybody's got their pet likes and dislikes, and everybody's got the things that they all do best and that they're interested in. And a good railway preservation group needs both. You need the lads who will get down and work with their hands and get dirty and so on, but you do need the organisers, the people behind the scenes, the people who will go and do the negotiating with the local authorities, who will organise the publicity. The chairman will go out and talk to groups of people to get their support. So we need that variety of people to make the thing work.
Yeah, it's easy enough to laugh at only 230 yards of track, but it's like building a base camp before you attack Everest. You know, you can't go on until you've got a firm base behind you.
Yeah, it's a bit job, and I don't think anyone's under any illusions. It's going to take a very long time before the whole project is completed. But bit by bit, I think it's beginning to take shape now because we've had a lot of success over the last 12 months, 2 years, and actually got trains running, which is a big step forward. The next big obstacle, obviously, is the bridge at Bridge Street, which is obviously will be put in within the next 18 months, we hope.
Can you tell us, Dave, how much you've got in the bridge fund at the moment?
Yeah, as at the end of May, I think we'll have 9,000, Martin. We had 8,006 at the end of April, and we've had a very good response to renewals for Between the Lines, the monthly newsletter. About £100 has come in from people with their renewals, so end of May, I think £9,000.
Yeah, once we're across the bridge, we're away then, down the Dale, and British Rail have got 4 miles of single track down there, which they've said, subject to this and that, we can use. Well, after Blackwell Mill, British Rail break away to the north towards Manchester, and we've got to relay the track from there on for 16 miles towards Matlock.
The Patriot, Prestatin, arriving at Buxton Midland Station with the 522 from Manchester.
Great. Yeah, going down to...
And that's the road round to Buxton on the right. And that one as well.
What was the 2 tracks?
That's right, there's 2 tracks.
Well,
They went up to the branch line up to Buxton. Now this is going down the main line, coming into Millersdale. There's Millersdale.
It's probably gone by now.
It's a little bit later, but all this is gone.
Fowler Trench. 23 what? 23.70?
You got London culture?
No.
Where's that one to, Peter, then?
That's Monsaldale. That's where we walk, isn't it now?
That's it, yeah.
That makes right.
Station buildings are still there. Rosalie,
The potential really is, I think, far and away greater than any other preserved railway in Britain, because we've got a combination of, I think, is it 4 things? We're connected to British Rail at both ends. We've got tourist towns at both ends, Matlock, Bath and Buxton. 70% of the population of England within 70 miles, with a sort of a weekend visit to the Peak District. And, of course, tremendous scenery. 13 miles of the 20 miles through the Peak National Park. But, of course, on the other hand, we've got quite a lot of work to do. We've got to put the track back. But when people say, well, it's a mammoth task, the thing is we haven't got to build the viaducts, we haven't got to dig out the tunnels and the cuttings, and we haven't got to build all the embankments.
The Buxton section will be from the far platform.
Yeah, it's right over into the trees, Buxton Bay.
So what's in between?
Those would be the 2 slow lines, these are the fast lines.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So, but I mean, just look at the length of the platforms. I mean, you could get probably a 15-coach train in here or something. I think there's different sorts of bugs, really. And you've got people like Ron here, who's very much into mechanical questions, dealing with the engines and all the mechanical work on them and crawling about and getting absolutely covered in grease and dirt. That sort of thing doesn't appeal to me. I like the fresh air aspect of it and planting trees and so forth. And I think that's it. There are so many different tasks to be done on a project like this that there's something that can appeal to more or less everybody. But, also, I think, like a lot of our members, I feel quite strongly about how Britain has got this tremendous infrastructure of railways, and yet it's, to a great extent, it's been squandered. It would be nice, really, to see a bit of it put back into productive use again.
And as time goes on, I expect you, after lectures, to know exactly what's going on. When I say exactly, I mean exactly. I expect you to be able to tell me where the right-hand big end is, without looking inside. Where the left-hand big end is. I expect you to tell me where the eccentrics are, how the sheaves are situated, and if you're to reverse the engine, exactly what happens to your die block, coupling link, and your eccentrics. Steam locomotives are very simple, as I've said before. And A follows B, and B follows C. It's as simple as that. When a side rod is at the bottom angle here, on this side, if you're on the right-hand side, then your big end is at the opposite angle at the top. If you're on the right-hand side, then the right-hand big end precedes the left-hand big end by quarter of a turn. So if the right-hand big end is at top back angle, the left-hand big end will be at the bottom back angle. And if the left-hand big end is at the bottom back angle, the left-hand side rod will be at the top front angle. Now, that sounds a bit complicated, doesn't it? It does, but in reality, it's simplicity itself, because a wheel is circular, and it will go through 360 degrees. They're dead keen, you know. They're really into it, if you understand what I mean. They do things and give up time far in excess of ever anything I ever thought people would do. I've explained quite a lot of the theory and common practice with them, and they've taken to it like a duck takes to water. Same as I pointed out to you earlier on, the beds in this place. And they come on a Friday night, and they work in the teens of hours in a day, and they do go through some work, and it's heavy work. And have a wash and brush up somewhere about 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, down to the pub and have a pint, and then come back and kip on the portable beds. And they'll do that all weekend. They're quite competent at it. In fact, they're quite competent at most things. You see, only the other day they had a slight difficulty with that crossing outside there, and they were there, they dismantled it, dragging huge timbers about with what I should imagine is the original tackle that plate layers used to use in the early parts. Simple pairs of tongs. And these timbers are anything 20 feet long and perhaps 10 inches deep and perhaps 12 or 13 inches wide, so there's a considerable weight of timber. And they handle them quite competently because they've been shown the simple ways that the plate layers used to use in time gone by. I mean, today it's all mechanised, but they've not got the mechanisation here, so they have to go back to the basics. And they've taken to it like ducks take to water, and they do it, and they're competent at it. Make a good job. Oh, well, Martin, there's not enough hours in day for him, is there? Not really. I mean, he never stops. Every time I come here, he's working. He's generally swapped up to ear holes, and he's been working for hours, and he'll be working for hours after I've gone. He's like the bundle of energy which every place and everything wants, and it all seems to spark up from him. And then he came chasing after me about 3 years ago. I didn't know the bloke before, and conned me into coming in. And of course, once you've been in a while and you see what's going on, you see all the enthusiasm, and then I'm afraid I've got the bug, and whenever I'm needed, they just contact me, and I can't get down quick enough. It's very simple. I'm coming up for finishing, coming up for retiring. Well, it's going to be a grand little pastime for me when I've finished. And I can come down here and put my shiny top hat on and boss them all round and see that everything's done properly. I mean, I've been organised and told what to do for 45 years now. Well, now it's my turn, isn't it?
I would think from this point on it's at least going to be, what, 4 years before it's steamed? Possibly 5. Depending largely on the sort of income that the group that own it have, the level of investment in it. This is what it really comes down to, and also, of course, some volunteers we can get to come and work on it. But the lads here, a lot of the lads here are very, very interested in the main line, the large engines. We use the industrial engines, as you know, every weekend, but they don't have quite the same appeal as a large ex-mainline engine. And a lot of the lads are dying to get started on it and to give Phil a hand to restore it. Well, there's a tremendous amount of work involved, especially something like the 9F, which is about the largest engine you could take on anywhere. The basic thing is to get it all stripped down, really, into its component parts. You've got 3 or 4 major items. There's the frames, the wheels, the frames with the cylinders on them. There's the wheel sets, the boiler, cab, and then, in the case of the 9F, a tender, or tanks in the case of a tank engine. So it's a case of stripping it right down into all its component parts, grip blasting the frames, painting them, replating what we call the drag box areas in between the engine and the tender. They're usually very badly corroded. Bearing in mind that there's ash sat on them for years and years and got damp, and it's eaten its way into the parent metal, so they all need replating. And then it's a case of reassembly, overhauling of the boiler, which can often be very, very expensive, especially when the boiler's got a copper firebox. What are we going to do, Phil? A cosmetic, do you think, on it? To begin with?
So, to begin with, Martin.
Well, at least we'll know how to put the other one back together again now.
Spent 11 years on BR, on steam engines on a footplate, you know, and finished when the steam engine's finished. So, always had a soft spot for steam. That's like the old saying, I'll always be a railway man, I suppose. Everybody now likes a little bit of history and a little bit of what used to be. And a steam locomotive, to anyone who's at all interested, is a living thing. There's nothing that gets the adrenaline flowing more than a steam locomotive working hard. I'd never been back on a steam footplate until I came down here to see Martin Ashworth for the interview for the footplate vacancy. I remember it was snowing actually, it was January. And they came down and they had Litherman steam doing a shunt. Martin was driving it and they invited me up. And that was the first time since, I think it was May 1968, I'd been on a steam locomotive. And it was great. Really enjoyed it. I think what we've got to try and do nowadays is to encourage the youngsters to take an interest. Because as we get a bit older, and we're all getting older, we're going to have a new generation coming along to be as keen as we are. And hopefully, the way it's looking, we've got them. We've got to encourage them and provide the facilities and so that they can carry it on. The fires of a steam engine will never go out. There'll always be steam.